Before I get started with this video, I have to give a shout out to one of my Twitter followers by the name of Black Phoenix. It's because of him that you've been getting quite a few of these DNU or the Dumb Negro United videos lately, probably with the exception of the one I did on Everett Taylor. That one I found from that one was actually sent to me through an email from somebody else. But this one and the last one that I did came from him. So shout out to him, by the way. There's a saying, 2/3 of us will not make it. And this person you see in this picture by the name of Jawaun Rogers, after you hear what I'm about to read to you, he fits perfectly into that 2/3. So basically, before I get into the article, what happened is this guy right here, Jawaun Rogers, was involved in a shooting a couple years ago where a 36-year-old man by the name of Tyrell Smith was killed. Now, I'm going to leave it right there because when I get to the part of what makes this Negro so dumb, you're going to be like, just toss the whole person away. Just throw them all the way away. So, family finds mysterious photo in murdered man's phone leading to charges 2 years after shootout over his Maserati. I hope I'm giving you a hint right now where I'm headed with this. Just before he was shot to death more than 2 years ago in West Humboldt Park, Tyrell Smith took out his phone and snapped the photo. When Smith's brother looked at the photos after the phone was returned to his family more than a year later, he saw a picture of a teenage boy that he didn't recognize. He showed the picture to Chicago police detectives, who now says it was of 19-year-old Jawaun Rogers, and last week, Rogers was formally indicted for playing a central role in Smith's murder. Rogers faces multiple charges in connection with the killing of Smith, age 36, a concealed carry license holder who was shot multiple times after stepping from his 2007 Maserati sports car during what authorities believe was an attempted robbery early December 17, 2017 in the 4000 block of West Iowa Street. Rogers was ordered held on a $750,000 bail at initial hearing last month at the Layton Criminal Court building and remains in custody at the Cook County Penny trial. He has pled not guilty to all 5 counts against him. Earlier the night of the murder, prosecutor says Rogers, then 17 and a documented member of the Mafia Insane Vice Lord street gang, slipped into the driver's seat of a white Nissan Altima that had been left running for a valet at the Flamingo Run Club at 601 South Wells Street in the South Loop. Rogers, who was then 17, was wearing a distinctive Tommy Hilfiger jacket and drove off with another person. Police POD cameras recorded the Altima driving around the area alongside a black Chevrolet Impala. About an hour before Smith was killed, cameras recorded both cars as they pulled up to a 19-year-old man in the 4800 block of West Gladys Avenue on the west side. Passengers from the two vehicles were recorded getting out and approaching the 19-year-old and taking off again with his credit cards and ID. The victim told police he didn't get a good look at who robbed him. Just before 2 a.m., Smith was driving to his garage when the Altima, followed by the Impala, pulled up behind him. Prosecutors said the Altima bumped Smith's Maserati and then pulled around him and drove to the mouth of a nearby alley. Smith, armed with a 9mm handgun, got out of his sports car and was confronted by a group of people from inside the Impala, and gunfire broke out. One person from the Impala fired at least 6 shots, prosecutors said. Smith returned fire but was struck in the face and abdomen and died at the scene. His handgun found beside his body. The robbers left the Maserati but made off with Smith's Balmain jacket and cell phone before both cars fled the scene. Prosecutors said the Altima was found 10 minutes after the murder, abandoned at Cicero Avenue in Division Street. A Tommy Hilfiger coat inside along with a pair of blue medical gloves. Smith's cell phone was also found nearby. The cell phone was sitting in police custody for more than a year, unable to be accessed because it was protected by a passcode. At the request of Smith's family, the phone was returned in January 2019. After a few days, Smith's brother was able to guess the password and look through his most recently used apps, which hadn't been opened since he was murdered. After getting the photo from Smith's brother, detectives got a break in the case when they were able to identify Rogers as the person in the photo. This fool right here practically gave himself up and didn't even think about it. Him in that picture is what gave him away. 2 years later, when Rogers was taken into custody, he initially denied knowledge of the crimes and told detectives the Tommy Hilfiger coat that they had recovered wasn't his. But prosecutors said when confronted by detectives that DNA samples collected from the coat and gloves inside the Altima matched Rogers, and pictures on his Facebook page showed him wearing the coat. He then acknowledged his role. Prosecutors said Rogers admitted to stealing the Altima and told detectives that he had acted as a lookout for the shooting and used the Altima to block the alley from traffic. He said he couldn't remember anyone who was in the cars with him. Rogers was taken into custody this past New Year's Eve at his home after detectives learned he had moved and was living in West Suburban Leslie, according to court records. At the time of his arrest, Rogers was on a parole for 2018 juvenile charges of armed violence, unlawful use of a weapon, and possession of a controlled substance. During Rogers' initial hearing, Assistant Public Defender Mary Jane Plessick said Rogers was living in Leslie because his family had moved to the suburbs in order to try and give him a fresh start. 3 members of Rogers' family who attended that hearing declined to comment. Members of Smith's family declined to talk to the Sun-Times, citing the ongoing police investigation of the case. Rogers is next scheduled to appear in court on the charges on March 18th. So, the picture in the phone is what got him. That is exactly how he got caught. Being a dummy, threw his whole life away. I don't know if I can really, like I said, 2/3, y'all. 2/3 of us ain't gonna make it. And he definitely falls into the category of those 2/3. I really have nothing more left to say as it pertains to this story. Just like I said, throw the whole person away. Just throw the whole person away. Like, why even go to a trial? Like, he did all of this and still ended up getting caught. Not saying I didn't want him to get caught, but he literally walked right into that and allowed himself to get caught. For real, for real. He, like I said, he's not the brightest bulb in the box at all. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you have your notifications turned on. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't done so already, and I'll talk to you in the next one.